Councillor Mark Ingall, leader of Harlow Council, leader of the Labour group, Councillor Andrew Johnson, leader of the Conservative group. Firstly, Mark, how do you feel? Let's talk about message for a start here. How do you feel Harlow Council is getting its message across regarding COVID?
Well, look, the message is a serious one, Michael. Yesterday we had 1,305 cases per 100,000 people, and that made us the fourth worst in terms of infectivity in the country. Today it's down slightly, 1,238 per 100,000, which will still leave us in the top 10 in the country, I'm certain. And whilst it's good news that the infection rate isn't going up anymore, we don't want to be plateauing amongst the worst affected areas in the country. We need to see a significant reduction as quickly as possible. And that's why you're right to talk to me about messaging. Now, the council's taken a lot of steps. We use our website, we communicate via social media, and I know that councillors on my side and councillors on Andrew's side both amplify that message as much as we possibly can. We've advertised with local media. We've put out electronic message boards in the town centre, and today they went out to the Stowe and Bush Fair and also to Edinburgh Way. So we're trying very hard to reinforce the national message of stay at home if you possibly can, and only if you really have to leave, then to leave and be as safe as you possibly can by using a mask, by keeping at least 2 meters, preferably more, between yourself and other people, and by sanitising and washing your hands as quickly as possible. I'm sure there's more we could do, and I watched the debate last night in the COVID recovery group, and I saw some very interesting suggestions which we'll take forward. And of course, I think we need to thank you as well, Michael, because your Harlow on every single day has run figures, and the figures are very, very sobering. And so we're always going to, we've tried hard to get that message out, and we'll continue to try very hard to get that message out. And if anybody can suggest ways of reaching people who aren't getting the message, then we'd be very grateful to receive them.
Okay, leading on to that, to Councillor Andrew Johnson, you're there, is it there as a critical friend or there as an ally, or a mixture of both? Oh.
It is a mixture of both, Michael. I mean, but mostly with regard to COVID, it is as an ally. It's not often that political groups come together from across the political divide to work on an issue. But I do think with regard to getting the message out, to telling people they really do have to follow the national rules, and to really try and persuade them to bring the numbers in Harlow down incredibly, that's an issue that we have to work on. Forget the party politics. That's an issue where we become community leaders, and Mark and I have to work together on that, and want to work together on that. I think the way we run the council during COVID and some of the other issues that were coming up at the recovery group last night, yes, there is an element of a critical friend, and an opposition is that anyway. But I think, you know, we've tried to put as much of the politics aside at the moment to focus on the messages around hands, face and space, and about just staying in if you can. And I know you retweet a few of my things and on other social medias, you know, that's been a strong part of the message that we've all been pumping out recently. It's about staying home. Harlow's in a really bad position. And I think for me, Michael, the pictures the other night of Princess Alexandra with multiple ambulances queued up outside, where our NHS staff are really under the cosh at the moment. You know, people don't want to hear about party politics when that's happening, and when you've got ambulances queuing at the hospital that can't get in. They want to hear about community leadership and about the politicians working together to get the town out of the mire and get us back to a situation where we can start opening up again.
What about things that you suggested, you know, and it seemed to be agreed to, at least that's the way I interpreted it, about closing the playgrounds? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, when I saw that playgrounds were remaining open, and to a degree, the government have said playgrounds can remain open. Just because they can, I don't think they should, particularly not when you're in the top 10 area of COVID. You know, if we were the bottom 100 or something, I'd probably say, yeah, okay, playgrounds, you know, not so bad. I think at this moment in time, we're so high up the numbers, Michael, that, you know, anything we can do in Harlow to get people to either stay at home or to just think when they're out and about, when they do go out, about not congregating together. And I'd hate, 3 or 4 young mums or dads with kids to be hanging around the playground and just put themselves at risk in that way of cross-transference of the virus, because you don't know who they're then going home to. They may be living with elderly relatives and things like that, or people like myself who's clinically extremely vulnerable. And I just think, that's why the council closed the car park in the town park earlier in the week, because it's the right thing to do to send the message to people that you should be staying at home where possible. My view is the same with playgrounds. It's tough. I've got a 15-year-old. She used to be little. She used to love playing on the playgrounds, and I know how difficult it must be with lockdown at the moment. But I think just for a few weeks, just for a little while, to get those numbers down and to get Harlow out of that top category, we should do everything we can.
And Councillor Ingall, you agree with that?
Absolutely, Michael. In fact, this is a conversation I had with the chief executive in November when the numbers were much, much lower than this. And we had to find a balance between giving people opportunities to get outside and to get a breath of fresh air and allow their children to play in open spaces, because that's good for their mental health, it's good for their physical fitness. And at the time in November, and then again in early December, we took the view that the balance tipped in favour of keeping them open in line with government guidelines. Yesterday we were the 4th worst area in the country. So regrettably, and it is deeply regrettably, because my children would still like to use the playgrounds. My children are a little bit younger than Andrew's. But we really must all be staying at home if we possibly can. And, we look forward to a time when we can beat this virus down and we can open properly and securely and safely and for a long time.
What about the progress in respect of, we've got the vaccine, we've got Lister House of the vaccines, you've now got the 2 COVID, you've certainly got the Civic Centre and the Latin Bush Centre regarding COVID tests. What's next?
Well, actually, we've got 4 COVID testing sites in the town at the moment. We've got the Mead Park, and which is operating 7 days a week, and we've got the football ground, which is operating 4 days a week. If you those are for people who are exhibiting symptoms. They have to book those tests through the government website, and the easiest way to find that, I found when I had to take my daughter for a test, was simply to Google I need a COVID test, and that gets you there, although you can come to the council website and that will guide you as well. We've also got lateral flow tests, which are being delivered in the Civic Centre, which I think you get the results in about 30 minutes. They're not as reliable as the PCR tests. My suggestion would be that if you've got any symptoms, you go for a PCR test as well, or if it comes up as positive, you go for a PCR test to double check on that. You can also pick up PCR tests from Latin Bush on Monday to Wednesday, 9 till 5, 9 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, and then you drop them off on the Thursday morning, and then they'll contact you within a few days to let you know. So there's lots of ways where you can get testing. We've got vaccines being rolled out at Lister House, as you say, and they're doing a really efficient job there. And we hope to have other vaccine centres opening within the town. Of course, if you have the transport and you have somebody who can take you there or back, or you can get there yourself, there's also the mass testing centre, which is a bit of a distance away in Stevenage, but we hope to have more centres open here in Harlow very, very soon. This weekend, with luck.
Councillor Johnson, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just think that it's a real great effort. Obviously the NHS is in charge of the rollout of the vaccine, but the council and others around the town have offered buildings to help them with that rollout, and I'm hopeful from what we've been told that they'll take us up on that. There is testing there, as Mark says, for people who are symptomatic. There are also tests for people who don't have symptoms. So, if you want a test, you can go and get a test in Harlow. And I think that's really important, particularly, if you've got teenage kids, if you've got children that are actually still attending schools, because whilst a lot of schools are online at the moment, there are still schools open across the town for, key workers' children and vulnerable children. And so some people are still going into those areas and mixing. If you've got any doubts, if you're regularly going into work and things like that, although you should be working from home if you can, but not everyone can, then there are places to go and get tests even if you don't have symptoms. So please do that. Please take advantage of what Harlow's got. It's got a lot at the moment.
Back to yourself, Councillor Ingall. Yourself and Brian Keane, who's the Chief Executive of Harlow Council, you're still speaking to a lot of organisations every day or regularly.
I've never been busier, and I'm actually, yeah, I would say exactly the same as Brian. This is a community-wide effort. We speak to people in Essex, we speak to people in East Hertfordshire, we speak to voluntary organisations, charities, the government, we speak to our MP, we speak, Andrew and I speak as well. Everybody's got to pull together if we're going to drive this down as quickly as possible and beat this virus.
Do you I think something came up in one of the COVID recovery groups regarding the powers that a district council has, or whether you would like more powers, but has that sort of come and gone now?
I think during this crisis we've worked very well with Essex County Council, who have more powers than us, although some of them have been devolved during the pandemic to district councils, the powers to close some facilities. So I don't think it's really a question anymore of do we have the authority. It's just a question of us getting in contact with the police where we need to, getting in contact with Essex, and working cooperatively together to ensure that illegal parties don't take place or persistent breaches of COVID regulations are challenged by the police, and that we're all doing everything working together to beat this crisis.
There are, of course, Michael, there are, of course, options if the council needs them to exercise, MACA, which I know Councillor Joel Charles has spoken about a fair bit recently. That's military aid to civil authorities. To ask the army. And in Basildon, they've got the army in helping with the health service there because they're under particular strain. That remains on the table for Harlow or for the Essex part that Essex to ask for in other parts of Essex. So it is there, and we can ask for more help if we need it. And that's something the council needs to keep under review as well.
But one of the key, sorry,
and we certainly are. There are, I think, 28 members of the army who have been drafted into support across Essex, and we'll have no compunction whatsoever in calling on their services as and when we need them.
And I know this will be the CCG, etc., but what people really want to see now, if we're getting this impetus and momentum, is what is happening, with vaccines, is probably seeing some major rollout in Harlow, isn't it? Not just Lister House, doing an excellent job, but whether a big place opening up, I don't know, the leisure zone or a school gym, whatever, and they see a big place where we're seeing vaccines done. That's going to be the important moment, and that needs to come sooner than later, doesn't it?
Well, I'm guaranteed that we will be seeing exactly that. And preparations are going ahead this weekend to open a large centre in Harlow. The precise details of that we'll give you when it has opened, because we don't want people turning up without appointments. And I think this is important. When it does open, please don't just turn up, because it's going to be fully booked, giving appointments to the priority groups. And everybody who is in those priority groups will be contacted either by the CCG or by their GP surgery to give them an appointment. But Michael, that is happening as we speak, and I would be very surprised if you didn't have news of the new service opening up this weekend.
Yeah, and I'm very excited about that, Michael. And just to say, this is not something that's being done behind the scenes without any political involvement. Mark and I have both been briefed. I can fully support what he's saying there. There is something coming, but obviously for the reasons he said, we don't want to make announcements ahead of time, but it is coming, and I'm very excited. And, I want to see as many people in Harlow get this vaccine as possible, particularly those in the top couple of tiers, and then flowed down. And I'm promised it's coming. Everything we've heard and discussed, Mark and I, and other senior politicians in the town with the CCG, we know the work is being done. We're very supportive of that work, and we can't wait till the vaccine's being rolled out across the town.
Brilliant. I think we should maybe just end with that. And I just wondered, firstly, Councillor Johnson, do you have any final messages for our readers, the people of Harlow?
Please keep, those of you that are doing the hands, face, space, please keep doing it. those of you that haven't maybe been as assiduous with it, please do it. It's really important. You know, if you don't have to go out at the moment, please just stay in. We're so high in the national figures. Just please stay in for a few weeks. Please do what you can to help us battle this virus. The vaccine is coming and we're almost free.
Councillor Ingall?
Well, Andrew's absolutely right. Stay at home. If at all, if that's at all possible, just stay at home. If you really can't, follow all the face space and cleanliness guidelines. Look, and if staying at home causes you any sorts of issues in terms of mental health or anxiety or worries about money or the rest of it, Harlow's Community Hub is open. I've got the telephone number here. It's 01279 927 005, and they'll help you if they possibly can, and if they can't, they'll signpost you to organisations that can help you.
Well, Councillor Ingall, Councillor Johnson, thank you very much for your time.